The fall of Earth. The sky over New York City blazed with an otherworldly light as the Galactic Council's invasion fleet descended through the atmosphere. Massive ships, each the size of a small country, cast ominous shadows over the panicking populace below. The cacophony of alien energy weapons mixed with the frantic screams of civilians and the desperate orders of Earth's military commanders. In the heart of the Pentagon's underground command center, Commander Sarah Chen stood before a sea of flickering holographic displays, her face a mask of grim determination. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she processed the flood of incoming data. Earth's defenses, which had held strong for decades, were crumbling under the relentless assault. Status report. Chen barked, her voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. A young lieutenant, his uniform disheveled and eyes wide with fear, responded, "Commander, we've lost contact with the lunar base. The orbital defense grid is down to 12% capacity. Ground forces in Europe and Asia are reporting complete annihilation." Chen's jaw clenched. She'd known this day might come, but the reality of it was still a bitter pill to swallow. Her mind raced through scenarios, each one more desperate than the last. The plan they'd put in motion years ago seemed impossibly fragile now, balanced on the edge of a knife. "What about Project Orpheus?" she asked, her voice low enough that only her second-in-command, Colonel Ramirez, could hear. Ramirez leaned in, his weathered face etched with worry. "The last transport left Cheyenne Mountain an hour ago. If we're going to do this, it has to be now." Chen nodded, a fleeting look of relief crossing her features before the mask of command slipped back into place. She straightened her back and addressed the room. "Attention, all personnel. Initiate Protocol Omega. This is not a drill. I repeat, initiate Protocol Omega." A hush fell over the command center, followed by a flurry of activity. Fingers flew over keyboards, and hushed conversations erupted in every corner. Chen watched as her orders rippled out across the globe, setting in motion a plan decades in the making. High above the Earth, aboard the Galactic Council's flagship Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Zixtal observed the battle with a mixture of satisfaction and confusion. The spindly, six-limbed alien paced the bridge, his compound eyes taking in multiple viewscreens simultaneously. "Something is amiss," Zixtal chittered to his advisory board. "The humans fight with desperation, yes, but their strategies lack coherence. It's as if they're deliberately leaving gaps in their defense." A holographic projection of Admiral Kavor, a gelatinous being from the aquatic world of Hydros Prime, bubbled in agreement. "Perhaps they've simply lost the will to fight effectively, Supreme Commander. Our intelligence suggested their military was far more capable than this." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in thought. Perhaps we're missing something crucial. Increase scans for cloaked ships or hidden installations. I want no surprises. Back on Earth, Commander Chen strode purposefully through the corridors of the Pentagon, flanked by a squad of elite soldiers. Klaxons blared, and the building shook with the impact of nearby explosions. They reached a heavily fortified door, where Chen pressed her palm against a biometric scanner. "Commander Sarah Chen," she stated clearly, "initiating final phase of Protocol Omega." The door hissed open, revealing a small, featureless room containing only a simple wooden chair and a holographic projector. Chen turned to her escorts. "Remember your oaths," she said solemnly. "What happens next will determine the fate of our species. Trust in the plan." The soldiers saluted crisply and took up positions outside the room. Chen entered alone, the door sealing behind her with a sense of finality. She sat in the chair and activated the projector. A flickering image of UN Secretary-General Amara Okafor appeared before her. "Commander Chen," Okafor said, her voice tight with tension. "Is it time?" Chen nodded. "It is, Madam Secretary. The Council's forces have broken through our last line of defense. Project Orpheus is secure. We're ready to proceed with the surrender." Okafor closed her eyes briefly, a pained expression crossing her face. "Very well. You know what must be done. The hopes of humanity rest with you now, Commander. Godspeed." The hologram winked out, leaving Chen alone in the dim room. She took a deep breath, centering herself for what was to come. With practiced movements, she removed her command insignia and replaced it with a simple silver pin, the agreed-upon signal for those in the know. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the Pentagon. The alien forces had breached the building. In New York, the streets were a scene of utter chaos. Civilians fled in terror as sleek alien dropships descended, disgorging waves of Council peacekeepers. The extraterrestrial soldiers, a motley assortment of species from across the galaxy, moved with ruthless efficiency to secure key locations. Amidst the pandemonium, a nondescript figure weaved through the crowd. Dr. Ilara Voss, Earth's leading xenobiologist, clutched a small, inconspicuous case to her chest. Her heart raced as she navigated the panicked masses, her eyes constantly scanning for Council patrols. Almost there, she muttered to herself, rounding a corner to find her contact. A disguised alien sympathizer named Krull. The squat, furry being nodded almost imperceptibly and ushered her into a hidden alcove. "The package," Krull growled softly. Voss patted the case. "Safe and sound. Are the others away?" "All according to plan," Krull confirmed. "Now, we wait." Back at the Pentagon, Commander Chen was escorted at gunpoint to the roof, where a Council shuttle awaited. As she emerged into the open air, she saw the full extent of the devastation. Washington, D.C. burned, great plumes of smoke rising into the sky. The Washington Monument had been toppled, and the Capitol building was little more than a smoking ruin. A tall, avian alien strode forward, its feathers rustling in the acrid breeze. "I am General Kriska of the Galactic Council Expeditionary Force," it screeched. "Are you authorized to surrender on behalf of your species?" Chen stood straight, her face an unreadable mask. "I am. Commander Sarah Chen, acting on the authority of the United Earth Government, do hereby surrender unconditionally to the forces of the Galactic Council." Kriska's beak clicked in what might have been amusement. "Unconditionally. You humans are full of surprises. I expected more. Resistance." "We know when we're beaten," Chen replied evenly. Further bloodshed would be pointless. As Chen was led onto the shuttle, a junior council officer approached Kriska. "Sir, we're detecting some anomalous readings from the human. Some kind of implant, we think." Kriska's head tilted curiously. "Interesting. Have her scanned thoroughly once we're aboard the Eternal Dominion. I want to know every secret these humans are hiding." The shuttle's doors closed with a hiss, and it rocketed into the sky, leaving the smoldering remains of humanity's capital behind. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Zixtal watched with undisguised glee as the human surrender was broadcast across the galaxy. Cheers erupted from countless worlds as the long, brutal war finally came to an end. But in a quiet corner of the bridge, Intelligence Officer Nix frowned at her console. The slender, shadow-like being's tendrils writhed in agitation as she pored over the data from Earth. "Supreme Commander," Nix whispered, her voice like rustling leaves. "I found something disturbing in the human population statistics." Zixtal chittered impatiently. "Out with it, then." "Sir, according to our most recent intelligence, Earth's population should be nearly 10 billion. But our scans are only detecting about 7 billion life signs. It's as if 3 billion humans simply vanished." Zixtal finished, his compound eyes narrowing. "Find them, Nix. I don't care if you have to tear that mudball apart piece by piece. Find out what the humans are hiding." As the Galactic Council celebrated its apparent total victory, the seeds of humanity's true plan were already beginning to sprout in the shadows. The real battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin. Whispers in the dark. The desolate landscape of Kepler 186 F stretched out before Dr. Mira Patel as she trudged through the rust-colored sand. The distant red dwarf star cast an eerie glow across the alien world, barely illuminating the path ahead. Behind her, A ragtag group of human refugees followed, their faces etched with exhaustion and fear. "How much further, Doc?" wheezed Jonas, a former miner whose bulky frame was ill-suited to the planet's slightly higher gravity. Mira consulted her wrist-mounted holo-display, frowning at the flickering readout. "Another 2 kilometers to the old mining complex. We should be able to shelter there while we figure out our next move." The group had been on the run for weeks, ever since their hidden colony on Europa had been discovered by Galactic Council patrols. They were part of the missing billions, those who had been secretly evacuated from Earth in the years leading up to the surrender. Now, they were little more than cosmic refugees, hopping from one abandoned outpost to another in the hopes of evading detection. As they crested a hill, the twisted metal frames of the abandoned mining facility came into view. The complex had been hastily evacuated years ago when the war reached this sector, and now stood as a silent sentinel on this forgotten world. "Look sharp, people," called out Zara, a former Spec Ops soldier who had taken on the role of the group's protector. "We don't know what's waiting for us in there." They approached the facility cautiously, Zara taking point with an old pulse rifle at the ready. The main airlock was sealed tight, but Jonas made short work of the locking mechanism with his mining tools. With a hiss of stale air, the door slid open, revealing a darkened interior thick with dust. "Home sweet home," muttered Eli, a lanky teenager whose parents had been lost in the evacuation from Europa. He flicked on a portable light, illuminating a cavernous loading bay filled with abandoned equipment. As the group spread out to secure the facility, Mira's attention was drawn to a strange marking on one of the walls. It looked like a series of interlocking circles and lines, etched into the metal with some kind of energy tool. "Hey, Zara," she called out. "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" The ex-soldier jogged over, her brow furrowing as she examined the marking. "No, can't say that I have. Doesn't look like any language I've ever encountered." Mira ran her fingers along the etching, feeling an almost imperceptible vibration. "It's warm," she murmured, her scientific curiosity piqued. "And there's some kind of energy signature coming from it." Suddenly, the marking began to glow with a soft blue light. The lines and circles started to shift and move, rearranging themselves into new patterns. The refugees gathered around, watching in awe as the wall seemed to come alive. With a low rumble, a section of the wall slid away, revealing a hidden chamber beyond. Inside, bathed in an ethereal blue glow, stood a towering obelisk covered in the same strange markings. "By all that's holy," breathed Jonas. "What is that thing?" Mira stepped forward, her hand outstretched towards the artifact. As her fingers brushed its surface, a holographic display burst to life, filling the air with swirling star maps and strings of alien text. It's some kind of database," Mira gasped, her eyes wide as she tried to process the flood of information. "Star charts, technological schematics, historical records. This isn't just from one civilization. It's from dozens, maybe hundreds of them." Zara gripped her rifle tighter, her military instincts on high alert. "Can you make sense of any of it, Doc?" Mira's fingers danced across the holographic interface, sifting through the vast repository of knowledge. "It's going to take time to decipher it all. But wait, this can't be right." "What is it?" Eli asked, peering over her shoulder. "According to this, humanity isn't native to Earth. We're descendants of an ancient spacefaring civilization, one that was at war with something called the Void." The implications of this revelation hung heavy in the air. If it was true, it would rewrite everything they thought they knew about human history and their place in the galaxy. As the refugees grappled with this earth-shattering discovery, light years away, another piece of the cosmic puzzle was falling into place. Commander Sarah Chen sat in her Spartan cell aboard the Eternal Dominion, her face a mask of calm despite the dire circumstances. She had been subjected to days of interrogation, both conventional and telepathic, but the Galactic Council had yet to crack the enigma of humanity's apparent easy defeat. The cell door slid open with a hiss, revealing the towering form of Supreme Commander Zixtal. The alien's compound eyes regarded Chen with a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. "I must admit, Commander," Zixtal chittered, "your species continues to confound me. Our best telepaths have been unable to penetrate the defenses in your mind." "Most impressive." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Perhaps your telepaths simply aren't asking the right questions." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "And what, pray tell, should we be asking?" "You might start with why we chose this particular moment to surrender," Chen replied enigmatically. "Or why we fought so hard to keep you away from Saturn's moons." The alien commander's antennae twitched with interest. "Saturn's moons. Our scans showed nothing of value there." "Exactly," Chen said, her eyes glinting with a hidden knowledge. "Nothing of value to you." Before Zixtal could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The Supreme Commander turned to leave, but not before fixing Chen with a penetrating stare. "This isn't over, human. Whatever game you're playing, we will uncover the truth." As the cell door slid shut, Chen closed her eyes and focused her thoughts. The implant at the base of her skull, undetected by the Council's scans, hummed to life. In her mind's eye, she could see the vast network of human operatives scattered across the galaxy, each one a node in an invisible web of resistance. Phase 2 complete. She subvocalized, the implant transmitting her message across vast distances. Proceed to Phase 3. Back on Kepler 186F, Mira and her team worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the alien obelisk. Days blended into weeks as they pieced together fragments of long-lost knowledge. "I think I've found something," Eli announced one evening, his young face illuminated by the holographic display. "It's a star map, but it's showing systems that aren't on any of our charts." Mira hurried over, her eyes widening as she took in the information. "These aren't just uncharted systems," she breathed. "They're hidden, cloaked somehow from normal detection methods." Zara leaned in, her military mind already analyzing the strategic implications. Hidden outposts, fallback positions. "More than that," Mira said, her voice filled with awe. I think we found the locations of the lost human colonies, the ones that were evacuated before the surrender." The weight of this discovery settled over the group. They weren't alone out here. There were others, perhaps millions of humans, hidden away in secret enclaves across the galaxy. As if in response to their revelation, the obelisk pulsed with energy. New streams of data poured forth, coalescing into a single urgent message. "Beware the void. The CELPRS must awaken." The cryptic warning sent a chill through the assembled refugees. Whatever humanity's true history was, whatever cosmic game they were unwitting players in, one thing was becoming clear. The war they thought they had lost was far from over. In fact, it might have only just begun. The game changes. The grand halls of the Galactic Council headquarters on Alpha Centauri Prime buzzed with excitement. Delegates from 1,000 worlds had gathered to celebrate humanity's defeat and usher in a new era of peace. Holographic displays showcased the victory parades taking place across council space, while dignitaries clinked glasses filled with exotic intoxicants. Supreme Commander Zixtal stood at the center of it all, basking in the adulation of his peers. Yet beneath his chitinous exterior, a kernel of doubt gnawed at him. The human prisoner, Commander Chen, and her cryptic words haunted his thoughts. As if summoned by his unease, a commotion erupted at the entrance to the Grand Hall. Intelligence Officer Nix glided in, her shadow-like form rippling with agitation. "Supreme Commander," she whispered urgently, "we have a situation." Before Zixtal could respond, the holographic displays flickered and died. The chamber was plunged into darkness for a moment before emergency lights sputtered to life, casting an eerie glow across the confused faces of the assembled aliens. "What is the meaning of this?" bellowed Grathel, the hulking representative from the warrior planet Krotak. As if in answer, every communication device in the room came to life simultaneously. A cacophony of alerts, alarms, and panicked voices filled the air. Reports flooded in from across council space, each more bewildering than the last. On the desert world of Arrakis II, massive sinkholes had opened without warning, swallowing entire cities. The ocean planet Hydros Prime reported that its vast seas had begun to boil, defying all known laws of physics. On the gas giant Jovia, swirling storms had coalesced into impossibly precise geometric shapes. "It's happening everywhere," Nyx reported, her voice tight with tension. "Every world in council space is experiencing some form of unprecedented phenomena. Our scientists are at a loss to explain it." Zixtal's compound eyes narrowed. "The humans," he hissed. "This has to be their doing." But how? Their technology was inferior to ours in every way. As the council chamber descended into chaos, a new hologram flickered to life at the center of the room. The assembled aliens fell silent as they recognized the figure, Dr. Ilara Voss, the renowned human xenobiologist who had gone missing during the fall of Earth. "Greetings, members of the Galactic Council," Voss's image said, her voice calm but tinged with urgency. "I apologize for the disruption, but recent events have forced our hand. What you're witnessing across the galaxy is not an attack, but a wake-up call." Grathul lunged forward, his massive fists clenched. "Explain yourself, human, before we reduce your homeworld to ash." Voss's hologram smiled sadly. "I'm afraid that's not possible," honored Grathul. "Earth is no longer our home, nor was it ever our true planet of origin." A murmur of confusion rippled through the crowd. Zixtal stepped forward, his antennae twitching with curiosity. "What do you mean? Speak plainly, Dr. Voss." "Humanity's presence on Earth was a lie," Voss continued. "A deception crafted over millennia to hide us from a threat greater than anything your council has ever faced. We are the descendants of an ancient race of guardians, sworn to protect the galaxy from an enemy you've forgotten. The Void." The hologram expanded, showing images of the strange phenomena occurring across council space. "These events are not of our doing, but rather the first signs of the Void's return. The seals we placed across the galaxy are weakening, and the enemy stirs in the dark between stars." Nyx's tendrils writhed in agitation. "Impossible. Our histories go back millions of years. We would know of such a threat." "Would you?" Voss challenged. "Tell me, beings of the Council, what lies in the empty spaces of your star charts? What whispers in the gaps of your coded transmissions? The Void has been patient, slowly erasing itself from your collective memory, waiting for the right moment to strike." As if to punctuate her words, a violent tremor shook the council chamber. Outside, the sky above Alpha Centauri Prime darkened, as if the very stars were being extinguished. Zixtal's mind raced, pieces of the puzzle falling into place. "The war," he chittered. "Your resistance, your surrender. It was all part of some greater plan." Voss nodded solemnly. "We fought to keep you away from certain sectors, to protect the ancient technologies and hidden outposts we would need for the true battle ahead. Our surrender was a strategic retreat, allowing us to work from the shadows while the Void focused its attention on you." The assembled aliens looked to one another in confusion and growing fear. Grathul's belligerence had faded, replaced by a look of grim understanding. "You speak of a war beyond wars, human. If what you say is true, why come to us now?" "Because we cannot win this fight alone," Voss replied. "The Void feeds on division, on the petty squabbles that keep the races of the galaxy apart. United, we might stand a chance." As the Council grappled with this earth-shattering revelation, alarms blared once more. A massive spatial anomaly had been detected on the edge of the system, growing larger by the second. Zixtal turned to Voss's hologram, his earlier hostility replaced by a grudging respect. "It seems, Dr. Voss, that we find ourselves at a crossroads. What would you have us do?" Voss's image flickered, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and determination. "Prepare for war, Commander, but not against humanity. It's time for the galaxy to stand as one against the coming darkness." As if on cue, new alerts flooded the Council's communication channels. Reports of unidentified ships emerging from hidden bases across the galaxy. Advanced vessels of clearly human design, but unlike anything the Council had encountered before. In that moment, as fear and uncertainty gripped the gathered leaders of 1,000 worlds, the true scope of humanity's long game began to dawn on them. The war they thought they had won was merely a prelude to a conflict beyond imagination. Light years away, on the bridge of the prototype dreadnought, Nova Dawn, Commander Sarah Chen stood before a crew of humanity's finest. Each had been carefully chosen, trained in secret for this very moment. "Status report," Chen barked, her eyes fixed on the swirling spatial anomaly visible through the ship's view screen. "All systems operational, Commander," her XO replied. "The Lazarus Protocol is ready for activation on your command." Chen nodded, a grim smile playing across her lips. Everything they had sacrificed, every deception and misdirection, had led to this moment. Humanity had hidden in plain sight for millennia, guardians playing the long game against an enemy that threatened all of creation. "Send word to all human outposts and our allies among the Council races," Chen ordered. "Operation Stardust is a go. It's time to remind the Void why they feared us in the first place." As the Nova Dawn and its sister ships moved into formation, Chen couldn't help but think of the billions back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the true nature of the conflict that had shaped their history. One day, perhaps, they would learn the truth. But for now, the fate of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy, hung in the balance. The game had changed, and the real battle was about to begin. Unveiling the truth. The vast emptiness of space erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy as the Nova Dawn and its sister ships tore through the fabric of reality. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the swirling maelstrom of the spatial anomaly before them. The fleet had jumped to the edge of known space, following coordinates extracted from the ancient artifact on Kepler 186. "All ships, report in," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the tension that gripped the bridge. One by one, the captains of humanity's secret fleet confirmed their status. Each vessel was a marvel of engineering, incorporating technologies that had been hidden from the Galactic Council for centuries. "Commander," her XO, Lieutenant Raj Patel, called out, "We're picking up a transmission from the anomaly. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Chen nodded grimly. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a cascade of shifting symbols and pulsating energy patterns. To most, it would appear as random noise, but to Chen and her specially trained crew, it was a language older than time itself. "It's a warning," Chen translated, her brow furrowing. "And an invitation." Before she could elaborate, a new alert blared across the bridge. A massive ship had just dropped out of FTL behind them. The Eternal Dominion, flagship of the Galactic Council fleet. "Hail them," Chen ordered, straightening her uniform. The imposing visage of Supreme Commander Zixtal filled the screen, his compound eyes reflecting the eerie light of the anomaly. "Commander Chen," he chittered, a note of begrudging respect in his voice. "It seems we find ourselves unlikely allies in this cosmic endeavor." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Indeed, Supreme Commander. I trust Dr. Voss's briefing was illuminating." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Illuminating is an understatement, human. Your kind has much to answer for, but for now, we face a greater threat. What can you tell us about this anomaly?" As Chen began to explain, the space around them shimmered. A sleek, silver ship materialized beside the Nova Dawn, its design unlike anything either human or council eyes had ever seen. "Commander," Raj gasped, "we're being hailed by the new vessel." The view screen split, and a collective gasp rippled through both the human and council crews. The being that appeared before them was humanoid, yet undeniably alien. Its skin shimmered with an inner light, and its eyes held the wisdom of eons. "Greetings, children of the stars," the being said, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "I am Alora, last of the precursors. We have awaited your arrival for a very long time." Chen stepped forward, her heart racing. You're one of our ancestors, the original guardians." Alora nodded, a sad smile playing across its luminescent features. "In a manner of speaking, yes, but the truth, as always, is far more complex. Please, bring your ships into the anomaly. There is much to discuss, and time grows short." With a shared look of trepidation, Chen and Zixtal gave the orders. The combined fleet of humanity and the Galactic Council entered the swirling vortex, emerging into a pocket dimension that defied comprehension. Before them stretched a vast cityscape suspended in the void, its architecture a blend of organic forms and impossible geometries. At its center stood a colossal structure, a tree of pure energy, its branches reaching out across the dimensions. "Welcome," Alora's voice echoed around them, "to the Nexus, the last bastion against the encroaching void." As the crews disembarked onto floating platforms, Alora began to unveil the truth that had been hidden for millennia. "Long ago," the precursor explained, "our civilization spanned the cosmos. We had unlocked the secrets of creation itself, reshaping reality to our will. But with great power came great hubris." Images flashed around them, scenes of unimaginable technological marvels and cosmic engineering. "In our arrogance, we sought to peer beyond the boundaries of our universe. We created a device, the Eternity Engine, capable of breaching the walls between realities. But what we found in the spaces between was not wonder, but horror." The images shifted, showing a creeping darkness that consumed everything in its path. "The void," Chen breathed, understanding dawning in her eyes. Alora nodded solemnly. "An antithesis to all creation, drawn to our universe by our foolish meddling. We fought it with all our power, but it was a losing battle. In our desperation, we seeded worlds across the galaxy with our essence, creating new races to act as guardians in our stead." Zixtal's antennae twitched in agitation. "Are you saying that all of us, humans, my people, every race in the Council, we're all descended from you?" "In a way," Alora confirmed, "but humanity was special. They were our last creation, imbued with our final and greatest technologies. Hidden within their very DNA was the key to defeating the void once and for all." Chen's mind reeled at the implications. "The Lazarus Protocol," she murmured. "It's not just a weapon, is it?" Alora's eyes gleamed with approval. "No, child. It is the culmination of all our knowledge, a means to rewrite the very laws of reality. But it requires the combined energy of an entire species to activate, a final sacrifice to save all of creation." A heavy silence fell over the assembled beings as the weight of this revelation sank in. The fate of not just their galaxy, but all of existence, rested on their shoulders. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Nexus. The tree of energy at the center of the city flared with blinding light. "It's happening," Alora said, urgency creeping into its mental voice. "The void has found us. Our final battle begins now." As if in response, a yawning chasm of absolute darkness began to open at the edge of the pocket dimension. Tendrils of non-existence reached out, hungrily devouring everything they touched. Chen turned to her crew, then to Zixtal and the Council representatives. In that moment, all past enmities were forgotten in the face of annihilation. "You've all seen the truth," she said, her voice ringing with determination. "Everything we've done, every battle, every deception, was to prepare us for this moment. Now we have a choice to make." Zixtal stepped forward, his chitinous armor gleaming in the ethereal light of the Nexus. "For too long, we've been divided by our differences. But here, at the end of all things, I see now that we are more alike than we ever realized." One by one, The leaders of humanity's hidden colonies and the representatives of the Galactic Council voiced their agreement, united by the terrible truth and the even more terrible threat that loomed before them. The children of the precursors prepared to make their stand. Alora guided them to the base of the energy tree, where an intricate device pulsed with untold power. The Eternity Engine, the precursor explained, reconfigured to be the instrument of the Lazarus Protocol. But be warned, activating it will require a sacrifice beyond imagining. Chen placed her hand on the device, feeling the weight of history and the hopes of countless civilizations converging on this single moment. She thought of Earth, of the billions unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding galaxies away, of all those who had fought and died to bring them to this point. Whatever the cost, she said, her voice unwavering, we'll pay it, for all of us. As the void's tendrils reached ever closer, as reality itself seemed to tremble on the brink of oblivion, the combined forces of humanity and the Galactic Council prepared to make their last desperate stand against the encroaching darkness. The final battle for existence itself was about to begin. Humanity's gambit. The nexus trembled as the void's tendrils of nothingness clawed at the edges of reality. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the base of the energy tree, her hand resting on the Eternity Engine. Around her, a united front of humans and aliens prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of all existence. Alora, Chen called out, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around them. What exactly will the Lazarus Protocol do? The precursor's form flickered as it manipulated the energies of the Nexus, buying them precious moments. It will rewrite the fundamental laws of our universe, Alora explained, its mental voice strained, creating a reality in which the void cannot exist. But the cost will be us, Chen finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. Our entire civilization. Supreme Commander Zixtal stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the swirling energies of the Eternity Engine. Surely there must be another way. To sacrifice an entire species. Chen shook her head, a sad smile playing across her lips. This is why we hid for so long, why we play our long game. We knew that when the moment came, we had to be ready to do what was necessary. Dr. Ilara Voss, who had arrived with the Galactic Council fleet, approached the Eternity Engine. Her eyes widened as she deciphered the ancient symbols etched into its surface. It's not just our bodies that will be sacrificed, she breathed. It's our entire history. Every trace of humanity's existence will be erased from the timeline. A murmur of shock rippled through the assembled beings. Chen nodded solemnly. A clean slate, as if we never were. But that's madness. Grathel, the Krotak warrior, bellowed. You would erase yourselves from history, be forgotten by the very universe you seek to save. Sometimes, Chen replied, her voice soft but unwavering, the greatest victories are the ones no one knows you've won. As if to punctuate her words, a massive breach tore open in the fabric of the Nexus. The void poured through, a cascade of unlight that devoured everything in its path. The combined fleets opened fire, their advanced weapons little more than fireflies against the encroaching darkness. Alora's form solidified beside Chen, its eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and pride. You understand, then, what must be done? Chen nodded, turning to address the assembled forces of humanity and the Galactic Council. All our lives, we've carried this burden. The knowledge that one day we might be called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice. That day has come. She gestured to the aliens around them. But our legacy will live on in you. In the bonds we forged, in the understanding we've reached. The universe will go on, and in some small way, a part of us will remain. Zixtal stepped forward, dropping to one knee before Chen in a gesture of profound respect. Your people's sacrifice will not be forgotten, Commander. I swear it. Chen smiled, helping the alien leader to his feet. But it must be, old friend. For the plan to work, for the new reality to take hold, no trace of us can remain, not even a memory. As understanding dawned on the assembled beings, as the weight of humanity's gambit truly sank in, the void's assault intensified. Reality buckled under the onslaught, the very laws of physics breaking down around them. "It's time," Allure announced, its form beginning to dissipate. "The Eternity engine is ready. Commander Chen, if you would do the honors." Chen took a deep breath, looking out at the faces of her crew, of the humans who had carried this secret for generations. There was fear in their eyes, yes, but also determination. Pride. They had been born for this moment, and they would meet it with courage. She turned to the Galactic Council representatives. "The future is in your hands now. Learn from our mistakes. Unite. Explore, but never forget the price of hubris." With a final nod to her allies, both human and alien, Chen placed both hands on the Eternity engine. The device hummed to life, pulsing with energies beyond comprehension. As the void closed in, as the last vestiges of reality crumbled around them, Chen activated the Lazarus Protocol. A blinding light erupted from the Eternity engine, expanding outward in a wave of pure creation. It washed over the assembled beings, over the fleets locked in desperate battle, over the encroaching tendrils of the void itself. In that moment, caught between existence and oblivion, Chen saw glimpses of what was to come. A universe reborn, its fundamental laws subtly altered, civilizations rising and falling, exploring and discovering, but always united against the darkness. And somewhere, in the depths of space, a small blue planet where a new species would one day look up at the stars and wonder. As the light engulfed her, as she felt the very essence of her being unravel and reweave into the fabric of the new reality, Sarah Chen smiled. They had done it. Humanity's long gambit had paid off. The universe would go on. Eons passed in the blink of an eye. Stars were born and died. Galaxies collided and merged. And on an unremarkable planet circling an unremarkable star, life once again emerged from the primordial ooze. In the halls of the new Galactic Council, Supreme Leader Zixtal, the 157th of his name, stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000,000 worlds. The chamber was abuzz with excitement, for today marked a historic occasion. Honored delegates, Zixtal began, his translator conveying his chittering speech to the diverse audience. Today we welcome a new species into our cosmic community. They call themselves humans. A holographic display activated, showing images of a blue and green world, of soaring cities and diverse ecosystems, of a young species taking its first tentative steps into the stars. As is customary, Zixtal continued, "We have analyzed their history, their cultures, their potential. And I must say, there is something remarkable about these humans. A fire, a determination that feels somehow familiar." The Supreme Leader paused, a strange sensation nagging at the back of his mind. For a moment, he saw not the fresh-faced human ambassadors, but a woman in an ancient uniform, her eyes filled with determination and sacrifice. But as quickly as it came, the image faded. Shaking off the odd feeling, Zixtal raised his arms. "Let us welcome humanity to the galactic stage. May their journey among the stars be long and prosperous." As the chamber erupted in applause, as the human ambassadors stepped forward with wide eyes and wider smiles, a faint echo seemed to ripple through the cosmos. The universe itself remembering, if only for a moment, those who had been willing to sacrifice everything so that others might have the chance to reach for the stars. Humanity's gambit, played out across millennia and dimensions, had ensured not just survival, but a new beginning. A fresh start in a universe made safe by their ultimate sacrifice. And somewhere, in the spaces between thoughts, in the quantum foam of possibility, Sarah Chen smiled.